Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2 has just finished. And, there's going to be Part 3.
Apparently.
Let's. I actually want to save that point for the end because I actually want to say
for sure.
We'll bring up our discussions.
Well, first off, let's talk about like where we're all coming from. For me personally, I could not really stand this season. I mean, this part of the season. I got so bored to the point where I was like, oh God, I just need to read the manga. That's what I need to do. So I ended up reading the manga. So that's where I'm coming from. This is Scott talking.
So did you finish it up? Because I know you read part of the manga already.
I finished the manga completely. Before I did not, but now I did.
Yeah. I'm so disappointed. In fact, I want to cause my own rumbling and go to Japan and thinking what they did to me because I've never.
Whoa, bro, hold on. I don't know. That is not something you should say, man.
I mean, I'm not going to be crazy like Eren destroyed a whole Japan. I'm just going to, attack the people who were like, let's make a part 3 or whatever. But the point is, the people made the choice. They should be rumbled. But the point is, I am disappointed about what's happened in this season. I was definitely bored. It felt like I was watching a filler mainly, especially after a certain section.
The only person at fault is the writer for that. It's nobody else's fault other than the writer, dude.
Yeah. That's
so you can rumble the writer, but nobody else is at fault. All right.
Okay.
Let's not pull an Aaron and believe like everyone is at fault. All right.
Yes. But that's my take.
Yeah, I'm very much disappointed. It's honestly, as soon as I heard that this was going to be a part 3, I was like, okay, because I already have a couple of the Attack on Titan mangas. I just haven't like gotten into them yet. And I was kind of like, oh, let me just finish watching the show and I'll get into the manga. But now at this point, I'm just going to get all of it and start reading it. It's annoying because like 2023, come on now, like how long have we been in this boat right now? It's really
I can't recall. I mean, I don't really watch seasonal anime, to be honest, but like I can't recall something releasing this many parts for a season and like
it doesn't make
hyping
sense.
up each part that much
And
not
each
telling
part is
us
the final season, but
and not telling us, like what's going on. Like first we thought, oh, there's only one part, and then now it's like 2 parts. We thought it was gonna finish, and then now it's 3 parts. It's like, what the heck, man?
Is it gonna be 4 parts?
Yeah. But let's get into it. We have a lot to discuss about. I want to start off with because there's main key points, despite that it felt fillery, that happened. So let's start off with everything before Eren enters the path. How you guys felt about the stuff that happened before the path? Because if you guys are new to the channel, we already did an episode. The first part, we did episode 1 of part 2 review already. So everything else, we're just going to talk about everything.
Honestly, basically, part 2's beginning was just a continuation of the ending of part 1. It was like it's hard to even call it a different part, honestly. Part 1 and 2 should be just one thing.
That's fair.
I can feel the split here, right? At the end of part 2. Like there seems to be like something, I guess you could consider a part if you want, like the actual rumble actually hits. But then between part 1 and 2, it's like it literally feels like they should not have stopped there.
I agree because like now I'm like remembering back to where they cut off part 1. They didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
And then now seeing what they did with part 2, so much of it seemed like it was moving so slowly that like now like in hindsight, obviously they were intentionally slowing it down so that they could drag out a part 3. That's what it seems to me.
Yeah. I mean, the only major moment that we can say that happened within, at least before they got to the paths, was Falco becoming a Titan and his brother dying. But again, it's just like, it just felt such small because literally right after that moment, we get to see Eren get his head blow off and then he's in the paths. So that was when at that point is when things got more interesting. So now I want to talk about Eren being the paths and especially going through,
right?
the paths. Especially with the whole, them looking at the father's memories, that whole thing. And my whole joke is that you realize that Eren was Jesus the whole time. So how y'all feel about that whole revelation that came? Because that was actually an interesting thing about this part.
So it's hard. I'll let you two talk first because as the person who finished the manga, I'm not going to spoil anything, don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
But my perspective is definitely skewed based on the ending. So
Oh shoot!
I won't reveal anything to you guys, so don't worry. But you guys should definitely talk out first.
I guess with me, I'll start off was again, I like that episode. Like that's in my top favorite episodes of Attack on Titan, just because it's like there's just so much reverses where it's like, for example, you have Zeke who hates his father just to realize his father was actually someone he loved the whole time, and Eren who's trying to save Eren, realizing that Eren is really the danger the whole time. So it's like there was so much cool revelations in that episode, and I thought overall it was probably the best thing we've seen in part 2.
It was definitely super exciting. Just like the stress of Eren getting his head blown off and then immediately going into this, like, you know, separate universe mental space, and then going into the past memories, and then understanding the full power and the ability of the Attack Titan. It makes it so that everything that we know about the show so far, it puts a new spin on it. So now if we go back and rewatch, we'll be having this in our head the whole time. And it just, I love those type of things that like make second watches more enjoyable. And I feel like that's what that did for this show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It kind of gave this perspective that everything happens for a reason. So
or that, like, it revealed another a separate motive behind everything that was going on that we weren't seeing until, you know, just now. And so that's really interesting. And then the whole rumbling, the plan, I don't know. There's so much like roller coaster of emotion, especially around those episodes of us finding out Zeke and Eren are teaming up. Like, no, they're not teaming up. They're actually against each other. And Zeke is trying to do the euthanization plan, and now Eren is going full the other side and like destroy the entire world. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe none of these guys is the people we should be rooting for.
Before we get to the whole rumbling thing, because I definitely want to talk about Ymir, because that's an important part with Ymir's past. And I thought it was an interesting thing, but the one thing that I can't get over, and this is where my disappointment and, you know, anger begins with this whole series, is I don't understand why was Ymir able to follow Eren, even though the rule was established that you have to have the Eldian blood to basically for her to follow you. So I don't understand.
Royal blood, right?
Royal blood. There you go. Royal blood. My God, alien blood. Royal blood. Yeah. That makes sense because they all have alien blood. But so for me, there was no strong justification. The only thing that came off to me was sort of like that anime kind of trope where it's like, even though there's this rule, because the anime character has strong will, he's able to break the rule. So that's what it came off to me. And I'm hoping, Scott, since you've read the manga, I'm hoping they explain this kind of thing later on in the manga.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, so I'm not gonna answer your question at all.
You can't just say yes.
Okay, wait.
I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm not gonna even answer your question. Here's what I'm gonna say. If answering
that question is a spoiler, then you don't have to answer it, because that might be a mystery that they still have to reveal to us. So I'm fine with you not answering that question.
Fine. All right. Point
Either
is,
way, if you're gonna ask me what happens in the future, I'm just not gonna say anything. But basically, I'll say this based on what we've seen. Like, personally, for me, I think Eren is the one who has the Founding Titan. Like, he's the one who actually has the Founding Titan's power. So he has as much right to controlling her, Ymir, as Zeke does, in my opinion, because they're touching. So it's almost like equal, like, because Zeke doesn't have the Founding Titan. They just so happen to be touching. And Eren was able to control those other Titans before as well, anyways, when he was younger, touching Dinah.
Yeah, but with that, the only reason why he was able to control them was, again, because of the whole, they had blood, if I'm correct, right? With the...
Yeah, Dinah had blood, but...
He was touching somebody with royal blood.
Yeah,
And so here, he's technically still touching Zeke.
Well, he wasn't touching Zeke at that point.
You know, he was. He definitely was.
In the real world, his head was in Zeke's hand. So...
Yeah, all of it happened in an instant, basically.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's the theory. So because he has Zeke, he still has
Yeah, I don't
Roy.
really think it's a theory. I think that's just how it is. That's how the powers work.
I mean, I'm not
I
saying
mean,
theory, but I'm just saying based off. I mean, I guess. I mean, whatever. I'm just gonna go with based off that. Yeah, based off those factors. Fine. I guess that's well
yeah.
justified.
So it's more of them fighting for control since they're both touching, and technically one has pure blood, like one has royal blood, and then the other one has the founding titan.
Okay.
So it's sort of like equal, fighting for Ymir like control.
Okay.
But in the end, we learned that Ymir sent the Attack Titan technically. So it wasn't necessarily just Eren who did it, right? Because that episode was like, what was the title of it again? It was like from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
it's kind of there's an implication that Ymir kind of was in on this. So
Exactly.
there's implication for that. Which
So that's my counter argument to your criticism. But you can, I totally see where you're coming from though.
yeah, that's fair. But I guess this brings me to a different question: that if Ymir is the one kind of responsible for this, you think you think Eren would have a little bit of a hate towards Ymir because she's technically the one who kind of put him in this situation to begin with, which. Then again, the argument goes in, well, who started you, like who caused Ymir to do this, right? So I don't know. It brings another can of questions, but I guess we can leave that for a different kind of thing, and we can go to the rumbling, which is the whole theme of this whole thing. And how do you guys feel about Parody's response to the rumbling?
I mean, it's so the thing about this season is I agree with kind of what we were talking about earlier, that a lot of it was boring and drawn out, but then the last few episodes I felt were really, really good and exciting. And it shows like the choice that they made, the choice that the people of Parody made, and the consequences of the choices.
Yeah.
The choice for Armin and Mikasa and all of them to stop Eren and fight against the Jaegerists, and then the Jaegerists fighting against them. It's like, oh man, I felt the emotion of, civil war, brothers killing brothers, and all of that stuff. It was.
I mean, I felt that emotion too, because I just watched those 2 episodes. But for me, it's like the issue with it is there's nobody on the Jaegerist side that we care about.
Yeah,
on a personal level.
That's fair.
It's like they're just killing faceless people,
And then even with Flock has always been kind of like a jerk. So.
Yeah, nobody cared about him.
So it's like you only gave them more reason for us to want him to die, if anything.
I think that the interesting thing was that we were able to, I mean, at least for me, I was able to get that feeling just through the characters' interaction with these people. Like, see, yeah, we haven't really seen these people before. They're kind of faceless to us, but even them wrestling with the reality of the fact that, hey, we kind of grew up with these people and we're gonna have to, start fighting them. And then when Connie is like screaming after he kills those 2 guys, that kind of, I think they did a good job in communicating that without necessarily building up these characters.
Yeah, I agree with that. They at least like nailed like the beats of it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it could have been like way stronger if they said actually made some setup for it.
Sure.
Yeah, because I feel like even then it took a while, and in between, all we had was again Annie returning, which was nice, but it was just kind of like Annie's back. Then we have Connie trying to help his mom, which in my point was like, as much as I can understand his point of view, is like we have this giant rumbling going to destroy the whole world and you want to save your mom, like come on, bro.
Yeah, that was a weird B plot that they didn't need.
That part seemed very unnecessary to me. I kind of felt, although it was at some point this was going to happen with Marley and the aliens coming together to stop Eren, I kind of felt that conflict, which on one episode was nice, but on the other episodes it kind of played out a little bit long for me. I mean, again, I understand there's a beef between them, and the only interesting reveal within that conflict was we realized that Yelena, if I'm correct, she's actually Yelena, she's actually a Marley person herself. So she was pretending that she wasn't from Marley, but she actually is Marley in a sense. So it kind of shows that there's people from Marley who really just are against the way Marley does things. So that was to me the only thing interesting. So it's like to get to that part where they're fighting the Jaegerists, it just, I don't know. And
it was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. But I think I enjoyed that part at least. I wish that they had cut down a bunch of these episodes, like leading up to it. But you know, at that
Yeah.
that point, I really started to enjoy
because
it.
it was extremely boring.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what broke me, honestly, that part. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't stand this anymore. I'm gonna go read the manga.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, I just felt like another way they could have done it. My biggest problem the way they did it was like, because you know, inside these like for example, if you're watching like Avengers or if you're watching like any of these superhero movies, although this isn't a superhero property, when they have a final act, sometimes they separate it where it's like one person's taking care of this mission, another person's taking care of that mission. So it's like you see different stories, and I feel like instead of it being like, okay, they first got to go through the Jaegerists, and then they got to go through the ships, and then they got to go find Aaron. I wish it could have been like, okay, one person's fighting the Jaegerists while these people are on the ships. The other person's fighting Aaron, and it's kind of like at some point they're all going to meet and fight Aaron, but it's not this whole thing where they all have to. We got to see them go through this point. We got to see them go through that point. Like I wish it was like a
More Young Justice style.
yeah, Young Justice or even Legend of Korra or even Avatar, where it's like, you know, you have this person fighting the Fire Lord, you have this person doing the fire ships. Instead of it like we have to start the fire ships, then we can fight the Fire Lord, like this video game kind of thing.
I mean,
It gives more focus and gives
Yeah.
more characters their moment to shine.
Exactly.
I think that's just
vers-
generally a better story structure. That
Yeah.
what you're talking about. This is generally a better story structure. Hopefully they still do that. Like we said, it's not over yet. So-
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. The last thing I want to mention with the Jaegerist scene, one thing that I really like was the scene with Keith and the other Marley commander where they both kind of die, and they kind of die kind of like respecting each other and being like, we want the world to be more.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay, so that was a good scene, I guess, but I don't know why Shadis needed to die. Like that, one of them could have done that if it was a suicide mission.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I get that it was like a good moment, but then in the back of my mind, I was like, why are you both of you dying right now?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just me. And now nobody knows it was Shadis who helped them.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you guys thought about today's episode with the flashback and kind of revealing that Mikasa wanted to say I love you to Eren, but you know she couldn't say it. What do y'all feel about this?
I thought it was cool to see the flashback and get like their first touchdown into the mainland. I thought that was all, you know, interesting. I wish it had happened. I mean, I guess it was fine that it happened now. I guess it's just it was kind of wrapped up in the disappointment of finding out that this wasn't the last episode.
Yeah,
So-
especially because we end up with the rumbling, which I'm like, why didn't they not show us that last 3 minutes
Yeah.
in these episodes?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, this is what I was looking for. And I didn't realize these things can swim. I was like, shoot, they can swim?
Yeah,
It's like,
they were-
I thought they were just going to walk the whole time. But
Just walking on the bottom of the ocean like
Water,
the
I
Pirates
mean,
of the
they're tall
Caribbean
enough.
pirate.
literally. So I wish they showed that. As far as the whole Mikasa, I said I love you, or Mika wanting to say I love you to Eren. I don't know why, but I feel like that's going to be a theme playing in the future. Like that's just a hunch because it just
Do you think
it
that
seems a
they're
little
gonna-
because
you think- yeah.
let's put it this way, right? You have Falco and Gabby, who you can tell that Falco likes Gabby, and like you can kind of see there's a resemblance with them with
I mean, Falco told her.
oh yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, on an episode, he's just straight up like, "Oh, we might die. I'm gonna tell you that I'll." Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so we already have that aspect being played, and then you have like Mikasa and Eren, and it's like you can tell that like Gabby and Eren are kind of they're same in some ways, similar in some ways. Let's just put it that way. So I feel like there's this theme that's gonna play out with that because the way they said it seemed they made it a big thing within the flashbacks as well. So I don't know. So that's very
Yeah,
interesting.
with the whole research showing that the Ackermans, there's nothing like in them that would force them to protect Eren against their will. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think honestly the biggest thing with Mikasa was I loved that we got more Mikasa action in the last couple of episodes. Like because that was the thing that I've been missing the most from this show, because she's my favorite character, and like seeing her in action has been like I've been missing that, and so I'm glad that we got that in the last couple of episodes. And then you know the backstory it's interesting, I guess, and it'll definitely be something that comes up later. But we'll see. I hope it doesn't come across as cheap wherever they wherever it lands, I hope it doesn't come off as cheap.
Yeah, and I guess my question was, are you guys happy they're going to do a part 3, or would you prefer there be a movie instead?
I mean, they gotta, if it's not over, they gotta do a part 3.
Considering their pacing, like just make a freaking movie, dude.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think a 2-hour, 30-minute movie would be pretty well placed or pretty well done.
Yeah, because you know, when you read manga, you just read it, right? Like continuously. I guess you could pay attention to when the chapters end and whatnot, but like most of the time you just sort of read it as one continuous thing. For anime, you have no choice but to like it stops right after the new release, so you have to wait another week.
Do we know how many episodes they're planning for this part 3?
8 episodes. That's what they said.
8 episodes. Yeah, I mean, hey, whatever. Do what you want to do. Attack on Titan. I don't know.
I just think that this part was very, very poorly paced, and if they do the same thing for part 3, Jesus.
We get one episode where he just destroys half of Marley, and then it's like a flashback of like, when I destroyed Marley, I realized that freedom was special to me, and now I'm going to be more free. I don't know, man. But yeah, I mean, again, I was just surprised to be this disappointed, especially because me and Scott, we've been talking about Young Justice, and we've been disappointed with that part 1. But after watching this, I'm starting to think, you know what? Young Justice, we've been too hard on you. You know, we've been way too hard. You know, you're not this. You know, this was just something else. So, yeah, man. I mean, let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Maybe you guys love part 2, and you guys can correct us, or at least have a different opinion on us. But yeah, until then, I guess we'll see you on to the next one.
Later.
Peace.